Good morning and welcome. Can you hear me properly? I know somebody just typed that they can't hear, but I just turned it on. Perfect. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Sonia, Bianca. Perfect. Happy Monday, everyone. And this is welcome to our first webinar for 2021. So we're really excited. Perfect. So everyone can see me. Everyone can hear me. That's awesome. Hey, Renee, how are you doing this morning? So I'm just going to give it one more minute to get some more people to log in. We have a pretty good attendance today, so I can see the amount of people coming in still. So let's give it about another minute. You can't see me. If you can't see me, you got to turn on your camera option because I think the rest were able to see me. Am I correct? Yes. So just try and go to your options onto the deselect like your camera so that you can turn it on. Perfect. So where is everyone from? Well, I probably won't be able to get everyone where you're from, but give me some shout outs and I'll give you some shout outs and you just let me know where you're from. So we've got British Columbia, Oklahoma, Oregon. Whoa, it's going so fast now. Austria. Welcome, Katerina. We have Honolulu, Hawaii, Pickering. That's not too far from where I am, Pickering. So welcome, Cheryl. Salt Lake City. We got Calgary, Edmonton, Florida. Thank you, Sonia, for being here today. Let's see. St. Catharines, Dallas, Texas. So all over the place. This is awesome. So, yes, the webinar will be recorded. All our webinars get recorded and they're placed onto our www.refectocileducation.com. So no worries if you have to go do something else or you had an emergency, no worries. All our recordings are going to be there. Okay. And this time I did something different. I don't know if you can see on your screen, but you have PDF files that you can download because my webinars are not going to have the step-by-step because that's going to be done on the demo, the live demo. So I put the protocol as a PDF file. So hopefully everybody can see that file and you can actually download it right away, even now. So let me know if you were able to see those files because I did add them. Oh, no. I shared PDF files. Oh, that is not good. Well, let's see. Yes, it has two files that it says it's shared. Blonde Brow Profitability and Blonde Brow Protocols. Nobody, show. Are you sure nobody can see those files? Oh, yes, perfect. Because I can see them on my end. So yes, go on the top right event board. They will show there. Sorry, maybe Renee, because I was clicking on it to see. Maybe that's why you couldn't see it. But they are on the top right on your event board. You'll see them there when you click on the top right. You click on event board and it will give you. Perfect. Awesome. I felt so happy that I was able to get these files up for you. And then when you said nobody could see them, I freaked out because I wanted to do something more, something new for 2021 and be able to share these files at the same time as I'm doing the webinars. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So now we can start. It is at 1:05. So let's start the webinar and this webinar today is about the blonde brow. Okay. So we're going to talk all about bleaching brows. So first I'll do a little bit of introduction of myself, just in case there's somebody who's some new beauty professionals. So my name is Christy Parashos and I am the lead trainer for RefectoCil North America. So I do a lot of these webinars, as you might have seen me from last year doing all these webinars, and as well, trade shows and going in-house in classes, which hopefully when COVID gets, we get better, we get back to a normal routine. I do miss having those in-house classes where we can practice together, do the practicals together, so hopefully when things get back to normal. But right now, these webinars have been very useful tool to be able to provide the information so that your businesses can keep going on. You can also be able to use RefectoCil properly And if you're here new time, this is awesome for you to know about the brand, to expand more on the brand. If you're not new to RefectoCil, but really didn't know how to use the Blonde Brow or was confused about this product, now you know how to use it effectively after today's webinar. And so it's going to help everyone. Okay, so let's start with the webinar. So if you have any questions, we can do a Q&A. If along the presentation you have a question on one of the slides, for sure you can ask me right away and I will look on the side to assist you. Okay, so Blonde Brow, everything you need to know about brow bleaching. In this presentation, you're going to learn the proper way to bleach brows, which is the safest method. Okay, and whoever has been using RefectoCil for a long time now understands that RefectoCil is all about, the manufacturer is all about providing care to the hairs on our brows and our lashes. And because we are working so close to the eye area, you need a product that is able to handle this sensitive area. So we're helping as well. If you're a hairstylist that's on here, this will be a new way for you to deviate away from using the bleaching paste that was already in your color mixing bowl when you were bleaching your client's hair, and you use that to put on the brows. It's pretty harsh, and eventually down in time, it could affect your client's eyes because of the percentage of the peroxide. So today's method with the Blonde Brow for bleaching your brows, it's going to be the safest method, but once again, it's for professional use only. Okay, so let us continue on with the presentation. So we obviously know that brows are something that's will never go out. Even when I teach about lashes, all the way back to 3500 BCE with the Egyptian time, women were always emphasizing their brows and lashes. But now we have even the male clientele that wants to groom well their brows as well and lashes. So we know that brows are it's never going to end. Okay, it's going to be the topic all the time. Just new trends are going to be being innovative or going to be created. For example, the brow lamination. How much do we love offering brow lamination services? Quick, easy, and give that effect of full brows for your client. So let's go to our next slide. So 3 benefits of using the Blonde Brow. And this is what the tube looks like. You can see it in the picture as well, but here's our Blonde Brow tube. The biggest mistake that happens is that, oh, thanks, Laurie. We love the brow lamination too. The biggest mistake that happens is that it gets confused as it's a color. When they see Blonde Brow, the wording, they think, oh, it's probably like a lighter brown, lighter than our lighter brown, maybe a caramelly or a golden blonde. It is not. It's a bleaching paste. So try not to get that mixed up. I'm always here to assist, but I do get calls saying, oh, your bleaching paste did not work. And I mixed it with maybe a graphite to cool it down, and nothing happened. And that's because it's a bleaching paste. Okay. So your 3 reasons why you'd want to use this lovely product is, first, to lighten untreated brows. Okay. So if your brows have never been treated for anything and they're virgin brows, and maybe, for example, when I used to be really platinum blonde, my brows are very dark. So that contrast for me did not suit me. So I could just lighten them with the Blonde Brow, with the bleaching paste, maybe level 1, 2, or 3, and we'll go through that because there's only 3 levels you can lighten. And then I can just, that's it, I'm done. I don't have to deposit no color because the lightness of the brown that came out of when we pulled that bleach or stripped away that color matches nicely now my blonde in my hair. So that's the first reason that you'd want to use it. Second reason is to lighten before a tint. So we know if you have black hair, you know, if you're a hairdresser too, you hate when we'll color our hair with a black or with a hair box eye black because it's such a hard color to lift, along with red. So we can't take, for example, we want to use a light brown because the client's hair is nice and brown and caramel, and we want to change their black brows to a caramel brown. You can't take that light brown and put it right away on top of their black brows because you can't lift. The color won't show because of the black brow color. So you'd have to bleach it. And once again, you have 3 levels to bleach it. So depending on how bright and vibrant you want that brown to be, you can choose what level you want to leave it. So that's a perfect second reason why. Third, which might be the most important one for you. Like it might be the one, especially if you're just doing basic tinting and not custom coloring. This one will be very important for you because you'll be able to tint gray, white, or bristly brows. So sometimes I get calls where I'm told that the tint didn't fully cover the hair. Not on first grays. Your first grays are fine. They get covered, but it's those grays that have become so stubborn, wiry, very wiry. They just stick out of the place. They will not take that color. So you will have to bleach it. But we call that pre-softening. So it's the same way a hairstylist will call when they do that for the gray hairs. It's a pre-softening and you just leave it 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. And then after you can deposit your color. So it's three reasons that are important reasons that are going to bring in clients. You're going to be able to widen your scope of how many more clients you can reach. And it's going to be a useful tool to add to your brow bar. Okay. So let's talk. Oh, this is a little, I threw 1 or 2 did you knows in there. So once again, some hairstylists, they use bleaching paste for the hair to bleach the brows. And clients may show redness on the skin because the formulation is too harsh. Remember, we're working on the skin on the face. If it's touching along the skin, or even the reaction that touching the skin behind the brow can spread, can cause some kind of allergic reaction because the formulation is way too strong to be handled on the skin. We already feel it on our scalp too when we're getting bleached, how it's tingling and does all that. We don't want that all around the sensitive areas, especially the skin around the eye area. And blonde brow has been specially formulated for the brows and no redness. So still, you do patch tests. You still want to be careful that you don't put so much blonde paste onto the skin because there are some clients that can be sensitive to just anything, even to your touch. So it is the safest method to use to bleach the brows, but still just make sure that you do a patch test. Okay. So lighten brows to match a new lighter look. So here you can see it's kind of hard, but if you expand maybe your screen, you can see that the model on the left had dark brows, but her hair has been lightened to a very nice softer brown. And then the contrast sometimes can be loved by a client or they don't like that contrast because it's a client that wants their brows to match their hair, which was typically the rule, right? So they will lighten. You can lighten their brows to match, deposit the color, the new color to match that. To match that new hair color. So how do you lighten it? And we set up to 3 shades. So this is perfect for those customers who have a lighter hair color and need their brows to match this new color. So depending on how long you want to leave it, the more vibrant the color would be and even lighter. So you just got to be careful in the shades. If you're going to leave it for 1 level, or we say 1 shade, it's 5 minutes. 2 shades, it's 12 minutes. 3 shades, it's 20 minutes. Okay. So here it says caution, which is very, very, very important. Blonde brow keeps on bleaching until it's removed. 20 minutes is the maximum application time. And even when you're removing it in your application, you got to clean that area properly. And we suggest using the RefectoCil eye makeup remover because it's got hair strengthening properties. But the blonde brow, along with the peroxide, the mixture together, it keeps working, doesn't stop. Unless it dries until it dries out, right? Unlike the tints, after an hour, they stop working. But you wouldn't want something that's stripping away your hair color to last that long onto your brows because potential damage could happen. Okay. So we have a question from Rachel. So with the blonde brow, how quick will you see results in the brow color? So that depends on your levels of how long you're leaving it on. For example, my model I'm going to use today, I've used her before. Her took almost 20 minutes for her brows to lighten because she had pretty dark brows. But because it's going to be her second time, it's gotten a little bit accustomed to it. I might just leave it on for 12 minutes, right? So it varies on the degree of the darkness of the brow. Also, the color you want to deposit. Do you want it to be much more brighter? Then you would leave it the full 20 minutes. Okay, and we'll go through a slide, especially if you're using those pastel colors like your cotton candy pinks and so forth. The bleach, the longer you leave the bleach and the lighter the hair gets on the brows, the more vibrant those colors will look. Okay. So another did you know? Makeup artists, they love blonde brow because they can reshape or fill color on brows to clients' liking and it will show. So sometimes you can just lighten out those brows to create a new brow shape. So that's for makeup artists or makeup artists that are working for the industry, the entertainment industry, the arts industry. This is a good thing for them as well. Okay. Brittany, because my brows are so light, I should use a lightener and then darken them. So because your brows are already light, if you darken them, they will already have that contrast if you're telling me that your brows are lighter. But a lot of people, what they'll do is they will actually bleach their brows to lighten them more so that when they deposit the new color, they have a more contrast look. You just got to be aware of that contrast. Do you like it? Like, or does your client like it? Right? So hopefully, Brittany, it's did I answer your question? Because you're saying, okay, perfect. Because you're saying your brows are already light. So you're welcome. So I would just test to see how much lighter do I want my brows to go to show that contrast of the new color. Awesome. You're welcome. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the second reason. And it's taking forever for my, there we go. So here is to lighten the brows. Oh, so when we go back to the other presentation here, you can see the lightening. So I used to have very, very light hair, not as platinum as this one, but pretty light. And my black brows were too much of a contrast. On the model, it looks pretty nice on her, right? But sometimes the contrast, it's not agreeing to your skin color as well. It can wash you out. So here in the model, when they bleach her brows, she could either, because they're lightened, she can either leave them like that, or now she can even deposit a little bit of graphite into them because she has that cool blonde in her hair. So this was something I want to show as well. Perfect. So now we're going to number 2, why we want to bleach the brows. So this is to lighten brows before a tint. So there are 2 reasons as to why you would bleach before a tint. 1, it is impossible to color with a tint that is lighter than the natural brow color unless they have been bleached with blonde brow first. 2nd, to intensify the result of a tint, as I mentioned before, right? To intensify that result, especially with pastels, red and purples. Okay. Reminder, color is left on for only, so your tint, the new color that you're going to deposit, is only left on for 1 minute after bleaching. The hair shaft is open and it's ready to accept that color and take that color in, and it takes it pretty quickly. So I just see somebody can hear. If you give me 1 second, let me just. The PowerPoint is not shared because you have the protocols. Okay, it's in the product. This is my presentation that I use, but the one that you have the protocols, and it gives you the 3 reasons why you'd want to use it. It has this as well. So for Brenda, you will need to maybe exit and come and re-enter. Sorry, I just got to help her out. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we understand. I want to go back to that 1 minute. It is so important because sometimes even at 40 seconds or 35 seconds there, I've had to remove the color and just show the client how it's darkened, because sometimes it will darken much darker than you expected because it takes that color so quickly. So monitor it before it reaches that 1 minute by just taking off some of the color, inspecting to see how it's taken it, how dark it's gotten it, and then put back the color if you still need to leave it on, okay? Will the brows fade to the bleach color? Sorry, Rachel, I have the actual presentation, the protocol shared with you guys. This presentation, there's certain images with the models that I can't share at the moment. So I do have the PowerPoint that has all this information. If there's something I need to adjust on that PowerPoint, I can adjust it for you guys as well, okay? So will the brows fade to the bleach color after a month? So they start to get not that light, but for example, for my model that I had used, they tend to go back to a little bit of that lightness look. And then as the new growth comes, they're back to being darkened, but it doesn't have that completely bleached out look when it fades. It just has a softer fade look with the color that you deposit the tint in, okay? So let's go now to, I seem to have frozen. Okay, so this is another benefit to you for using the blonde brow, the bleaching paste. This because you can now use our colors because we have eight colors, right, to work with, and you can mix them to create these beautiful looks like a pastel rose shades or the purple or the steel blue, right? But once again, when the brows are black and you really want to make this emphasis in these new vibrant colors, by mixing your tints, you have to use the bleaching paste. Okay, so that's once again with my model. If I were just to deposit with the blue and the red to do the rose gold, it wouldn't show. Okay, maybe her brows would look a little bit warm underneath the black of her brows, but it wouldn't show. So we'd have to bleach them first. Okay, and that's what we're going to show today. Perfect. And we do have, which I'll try and do another one again this year, but we do have a custom coloring webinar that you can go watch on RefectoCileEducation.com so that you can see these files. You can how to do the color mixing, because right now it's pretty small, so you can't really see the instructions because I just wanted to show you the pictures. But into that presentation in that webinar, you can see it fully and see the instructions. Okay. Perfect. So now we go on to the third and final reason why we want to use RefectoCil Blonde Brow. And this is going to be the one that's going to perhaps increase your customer satisfaction. Okay, so we want to be able to tint gray, white, or bristly brows effectively, right? We want to have that full coverage because sometimes gray, white brows, they don't take the color very well. I have this for my mom. When I tint her brows, the color doesn't effectively cover those gray, wiry, bristly hairs. So we'd have to bleach them first to pre-soften them. Remember that word, pre-soften for about 3 to 5 minutes, depending the degree of that thickness of that brow, that blonde brow, that gray brow, and then you can deposit the color. Okay, so this way, that new color that you're going to deposit will be able to take on. It will be able to cover all the brows, every single brow, and you won't have to have 1 or 2 gray hairs sticking out and not being colored. So does it work on the men's beard? It does work on the men's beard, but you just got to be a little bit careful as well, because once again, remember, you're reaching more skin to deal with, right? So a men's beard covers a more degree of skin. So when it touches the skin, yes, it's safe to be using around, but still some can get sensitivity. So, but you can use it to do that for the men's beards as well. Once again, do a patch test. A patch test will help determine the sensitivity of the client's skin. Okay. So tip, this use is perhaps the most useful for you as a professional. Only few know that they can do this, and this will increase customer satisfaction easily. So once again, if you've been using RefectoCil for a while and didn't realize, wait, I could be doing brow bleaching. I'm okay. I'm not a hairstylist, but now I can effectively do it, but safely as well. Okay, I want to bring this on because many of my clients that might have had this gray, silvery, bristly hair were not satisfied because the tint wasn't grasping it all. So now I can be more effective with my clients. Okay. So careful. Here's some reminders. Just for brows, not for lashes. I've had people ask me, can I use it on lashes? Please do not. We do not want to be putting that bleach, that bleaching paste so strong around the eye areas. We're not wanting to strip away the lash colors. So only with oxidant cream. So you'll see on your PowerPoint, hopefully everybody was able to download the files because that's the file you're going to consult, when I'm doing the live demo, okay? So on that presentation that you've downloaded, it will say only oxidant cream. Cannot use the liquid, okay? It must be mixed with other color, mixed with other colors. I've had people take the blonde brow, mix it with other color, and then deposit it. You cannot do that. You first lighten, and then you tint. Do not leave on the 20 minutes. We've already established that because the tint and the oxidant keeps on working, it will, you can eventually damage your client's brow hair. We don't want to do that. And then do not apply after tint, assuming this will lighten it up. Okay, so it will create the opposite effect. What do I mean by that is I've had many people call me and say, oh my goodness, I tinted my customers' brows. They're so dark. My customer's freaking out. I try to soften it. I can't soften it. So I bleached it. And when I bleached it, it got even more darker. So the reason why that will happen is when you're mixing your bleach with your oxidant, then you put it onto the brows. Because the brows, the hairs are still open from the tinting service, the peroxide that's going in there is going to work with the color that was deposited already in there, and it's going to create that darkening as well. So please do not bleach thinking it's going to lighten. If the very best thing to have is the RefectoCil tint remover, and you can soften the brows with that. But the best way to be that professional, that to make your customer happy, is to always take a piece of the tint off of the one brow. Like take some of the tint off of one brow, show your client and say, this is how dark it's got. Are you okay? Can we complete the 5 minutes? Sure, put it back on and complete it. Engage your customer let them see that darkness, and also understand your client, what look they want, so that you know, do I leave it for 3 minutes on the tint? Do I leave it for 5 minutes? Do they want a more intense look, or do they not want an intense look? So always have that talk with your client. Okay, let me look at some questions. I see that we have a lot. So let's see. Oh, okay. Does this work on it? So would you recommend to lighten before going dark so it holds better? I'm not entirely sure. I could ask the manufacturer if you mean like that. Are you talking about the gray? The gray, yes. If you want to get full like hold and coverage on gray hair, yes, you have to bleach it. Now, if you're thinking in general of color to last longer, I'm not quite sure if there is a claim that it can help. I can find out and see. So let me know if that's what your question was, Brindy, if you're meaning that to help the tint last longer on just regular brows, not that gray bristly brows. For anyone who is using their phone, when you download the PDF file, do you know where they go? You should have on your phone a download section, like on your settings. When you go to download, it's going to show all your files that you downloaded. So try and check on your settings on your phone to see, or like type in the app download, like you search it, and then it should open up your download file, and you should be able to see it. Okay, hopefully you can. Genesis. Bianca, do you know why we can't use a liquid oxidant? You're not going to get that proper consistency mix, because with the cream, you need that full, thick fluffiness, the thick texture, and you won't have that effect with the liquid. Okay, so it's only going to be cream. Did I just forget? Did I mix anybody's question? If you have an iPhone, it goes to the right top. Okay, thank you for sharing, people, to help with certain types of phones, if it's an iPhone or an Android. Lori, if you want to download, it's on your top right-hand corner of your screen where it says event board. Okay, everybody's helping each other. It's awesome. Do you recommend using protective cream around the eyebrows to protect the skin? So yes. You should be using the protection cream around, especially if you're a little bit more heavily on application and you maybe get it a lot on the skin, because it can lighten the skin. Okay, and if somebody in the summer season has a tan or so forth, it can lighten that. So yes, please use your protection cream. Just be very, very careful that you don't get that protection cream to mix with the bleaching. Okay. For all colors. So Bindi, I think that was the question from before, to see if it can extend all the colors by bleaching them first. Let me verify with that, because I'm not quite sure if it's going to extend it. So say you had a customer that had a 2-week wear of the tint. You're thinking that if you bleach them before, that tint can last maybe 3 weeks, because I don't think it's going to change the effect of the length that the tint should last. I don't know if that makes sense. Perfect. Everybody's finding the files. Okay, so the mixing ratio, we're going to go through all of that in the demo, and you're going to see it in your PowerPoint. So that PowerPoint that I had you to download, the mixing ratio is the same, 2 centimeters. So in your little bowl, put 2 centimeters, same as your tint color, and you're going to need all that. And then you're going to put 23 to 25 drops of your oxidant cream. It's a lot more drops because you have to work at that bleach because it's clumpy at first. And you have to work it until you get a grainy paste. And you'll see that once again in your PowerPoint for the protocols. Okay. What do you do if it ends up too brassy? Do you reapply before if someone wants ashy tone? So if this, for some people, the bleach will come out brassy and that yellowish or that orangey kind of look. So because if your skin tone is warm, it could happen. What you need to do is just deposit some graphite. But once again, don't leave it on too long, the graphite, because if it was just to pull out that warmth so that you can leave it natural looking, then you just put a little bit. And what I do is like I pull it off every 10 seconds, pull it off, put it on, pull it off until I see that brassiness goes away. And that way I don't need to leave it on for a full minute to tint because then the brows can end up looking dark. So hopefully that answers your question, Holly. Barbara, I have been having trouble finding the protection cream in BC. Really? Do you have a list of suppliers for British Columbia? So you can try with West Coast Beauty, Purple Beauty. West Coast. West Coast Beauty must have the one. There's a West Coast on the mainland and one on the island. So please check with them and see, because it is an item that goes together with our system. Okay. Would you charge extra for bleaching? So we'll go on that slide. You're welcome when you're welcome. Perfect. West Coast has it. How often do you do the procedure? Every 2 to 3 weeks. For my model, it's been now a month and I really didn't have to redo it every 2 weeks. So depending on the color, the effect, if your client tint lasts only 2 weeks, but the brows are still lighter because no new growth will have come, you can bleach them again, but I don't suggest as soon as 2 weeks. I always suggest maybe every past that 3 week mark. Okay, because then you might be also you're stripping the color, right? And also very important is aftercare. Are you providing proper aftercare for your client? Do they have that styling gel that they can take home and condition and hydrate their brows? Because you are, once again, when you bleach your hair, sometimes you can see that the hair gets a little bit dry. So you want to be able to condition it. Okay, so let's go into that question that somebody had about charging. Here, I put this little bit here so that you, benefit to the salon. What's the benefit to the salon? Well, clients with coarse gray hair, they'll be able to have full coverage and perfectly styled brows. But not only that, clients who wish to change completely their dark brow colors can with the blonde brows we mentioned. Offering brow bleaching services generate valuable extra revenue, which we're going to go through that slide as well. And will give you the opportunity to increase your customer loyalty. Benefit to the customer. Well, we know that your client's going to walk out that room with their brows having that beautiful full color coverage, or having their brows matching their new hair color. Whichever it is, they're going to have instant gratification after completing a brow bleach and tint. Okay. And then a reason to believe, well, we know RefectoCil is a long-standing brand with decades of expertise in brow and lash styling services, which also makes them the market leader in this sector. And they have recognized that full, even coverage of brow colors is truly important to our clients. And that's why we have this blonde brow. And also maintaining the well-being of your client's brows, once again, with the proper product for bleaching. Okay. So we're going to go through profitability before we go do the demo, because I do have some questions. If dryness is a concern, then isn't that a concern with gray white hair since already very coarse? No, actually, it does soften it actually does soften the gray a little bit, right? It makes it a little bit more softer. So it won't dry it out more. It will make it, as for the case of my mom, it makes it, I wouldn't say extremely soft, but almost like a brow lamination. It calms that hair down because you stripped away that property of it, making it too coarse so that it can accept the color. So it blends in with the rest of the hair, the texture. So I don't know if that makes sense. How long do you process So we mentioned before in the slide that if it's for gray brows, it's pre-softening, 3 to 5 minutes only. And in your PDF file, it says that. So you have your 3 levels. Level 1, which is 5 minutes. Level 2, which is 12 minutes. Level 3, which is 20 minutes. Okay, so for gray hair, though, it's just pre-softening, which is 3 to 5 minutes only. Okay, depending on the degree of that gray. Sometimes with even just 3 minutes, I'm okay with certain clients and their gray hair. Okay, on new grays, like those are okay. Those will grasp the color without bleaching. Okay. Yes, create a beauty as well. Perfect. Yes. Okay, so profitability is very important as well, so that you understand out of one tube what you're going to achieve. So if the eyebrow bleaching is going to take 5 to 20 minutes, depending on what you want to achieve, remember the 3 levels, then you can charge up to from $25 to $45. So we usually I extended it $5 more than what you would do for a tint, because usually we say 20 to 40 for a tint. Now, sometimes it can take longer or sometimes it can take less. So your fee of your bleaching is up to you if you want to put higher the fee of the service, because it's a more accommodating service for your client. It's something extra that you have to do after you tint. Now, if it was only a bleaching you were going to do, then I would say between $20, like maybe $25 would be okay just for bleach. But if you want to deposit a color, this is where you would have to, as you see in the little box down here, the cost of a bleaching service can be higher than a tint as it is a specialized treatment that can require more time, right? When you pair with a tint, since it's only required to stay only for 1 minute, create a combo pricing with usually a $5 to $10 saving, okay? So 1 tube of blonde paste, if you're in Canada, it's about $11.95. If you're in the US, roughly it's about $12.95. You can achieve 30 as well. You know, every tube of tint of color, you can achieve 30 services. Same thing with the bleaching, because you're still using 2 centimeters. Sometimes with the colors, you can have more services because you dock down to 1 centimeter sometimes the color. So you can achieve 30 services. So your revenue will be about $750 off of 1 tube. Take your 30 times your $25, and that's what you will get. So out of 1 tube, that's awesome, right? The profitability. Then you have a little bit more of a breakdown here. So how many bleaching services do you think you can perform per week, depending when you start advertising, right? So we said roughly 6. At $25 a bleaching service, it means you will make about $7,800 per year with this service. So we take your 6 times how many weeks, 52 weeks, times 25. And that's how we come with your $7,800 per year from 1 tube. So your Blonde Proud tube does 30 applications. So it means you will need about 18 for the entire year. So 18 tubes. So $11.95 times 18 equals $215 if you're in Canada, or $233 in the US. That's all you'll be spending on buying the Blonde Brow, and minus that from your revenue. Okay, so you still have a pretty high revenue. For oxidants, you will need 3 bottles. So take the pricing, we put Canada price times 3. That's how much more supply, like cost will be your supply. Nothing, right? So add that to your $215. It's about $243.75 that you will be spending on the supplies, okay, of the oxidant and the Blonde Brow. Once again, when you look at the revenue you'll be making, that's nothing, okay? So this means that the cost of the products are only 2.3% in the entire revenue you'll make, okay? So hopefully that helps, because I know a lot of people always want to know about the profitability. So hopefully this helps. And you did have this as an attachment as well, okay? So great, thanks. What is the best consistency and mixing ratio for the cream developer? So we said it will be 2 centimeters. So always keep it 2 centimeters, same as the colors. But you're going to mix 23 to 25 drops of the cream oxidant. When you're mixing it at first, it's very clumpy, which is the case even when you bleach your hair. You have to get a good mixture for about a minute or 2. You'll see it in the PDF that you downloaded. It says to mix it for about a minute or 2 until it starts to look very grainy, like a grainy texture. Smooth, not completely smooth, but it's a grainy pasture, okay? Paste. Sorry, how long does a tube stay active once open? So once you've opened the tube, it's not going to be as yeah, fluffy like yogurt. Fluffy like yogurt, I guess you can say, but not watery. It shouldn't be watery. If it's watery, it's too much you put or you use the liquid by accident, okay? So it should be nice and fluffy, yeah, because when it goes on, you want it to look like fluffy caterpillars on the brows. So how long does a tube stay active once opened? 12 months. So as you see on the tubes, it's 12 months after opening, okay? If it's sealed, it should be okay for a year or two. Okay, so always monitor that. When I tend to like to write on the tube the date that I've opened it. Just helps. Okay, awesome. So now we're going to go on to our live demonstration. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to, so if you have that PDF presentation, pop it open or look at it so that we can go together through the step-by-step, okay, from the prep to the aftercare. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to switch my cameras because I had the camera on the bed, and we're going to get our model in, and I'm going to prepare this, and it's just give me about a minute. You won't see anything on the screen for a minute, and then we will turn back the camera from the other angle. Okay. For regular tinting peroxide, it's liquid is 10 drops of liquid per 2 centimeters of tint. Can you use with brow lamination? Yes, you can. Brow lamination first, and then you can bleach. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to, for a sec, you're welcome. I'm going to, for a second, put the camera off. And we'll switch it to the other one. And then we'll position it properly once I get the model in the bed. Give me 1 second. As if you have any questions you want to ask right now, I will try to answer them as I'm switching around. Camera. Sometimes there's some technical difficulties. Sometimes the camera. I need to find an easier way. 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch. Okay, I'm having some technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Let's put it. Oh. Okay, I'm not quite sure why it's not showing this on here, so give me 1 second. that, so I'll have to do it manually. I don't know why it's not working. Sorry, guys. I'm not quite sure why it's not allowing me to. We're going to get the model into the, oh, I think now it works. We're going to get the model to the bed. And then we're going to see where her angle is. Okay. What's your head? Okay, try and come, yeah, as much as you can there. Okay, so everybody can see, let's see if we need this. I'm going to do a little bit. Can everybody see the model? I can try and center it. I can try and zoom her brows in. Can everybody see that okay? Perfect. Sorry about that. Man, I thought I had this all down packed. Perfect. Yes, it was a tap. Yeah, perfect. Okay, awesome. Everybody can see this. Perfect, perfect. It's nice and clear. So what we're going to do is start with the prep work, which myself, I have to prepare myself too. We are during this pandemic and we're dealing with COVID, so we have to prep ourselves. I'm going to put my mask on. My hands, I'm going to sanitize them. And I'm going to put gloves on. And I do have a shield as well. In certain services and so forth, you should be wearing a shield as well. So let me get my gloves on. And then we're going to start with the prep work. The prep is extremely important. So with the RefectoCil system, you have the eye makeup remover, which I'm going to show into the camera. Let me just get my gloves on. Perfect. Got my gloves on. Mask's on. Perfect. Okay, so you have to do the prep work. It is extremely important, even if they come without any makeup on. This step is very important because we've got the environmental factors. We got dust to deal with. We got sweat to deal with. So it's very important that we do the prep work, even if they have no makeup on. So the question, what's her natural color? Looks black. Yep. So it's black. They're a little bit, ooh, I just shifted the camera. Give me 1 second. 1 second. We don't want to do that. Okay. So they are black. They are a little bit lighter because we had bleached them about a month ago, so they were a little more darker before, but they are black, and her hairs are kind of coarse, a little bit coarse. So for her, the brow lamination is such a beautiful thing to do on her. I did use her as a model for brow lamination. Okay, so prep. Let's do the prep work. Let's clean it first. So if you have your PDF file open for the steps for your prep work, it's going to also mention on there a second product to use to prep the brows. Does anybody see what that is? What's something very important that we have to use after we do a, when we're going to do a lash lift or brow lift? There's a second product that we have to use in our, yes, exactly, Saline Solution. Perfect, Tamara. And yes, everybody's got it, saline. That is extremely important because it's going to be a degreaser as well, and it's going to remove even any residues that's left over from the makeup remover. Okay, so it's very, very important because then your results will come out crisp. Your colors will come out crisp as well. Okay. So there was a little bit of like just skin powder, so which is okay that you'll see a little bit of color, but there's nothing on her brows. Now we're going to take, so here's a saline solution, everybody. So if you don't have one, I do suggest purchasing one to have this in your lash and brow bar, okay? You'll use it for all your RefectoCil services. So you'll make good use out of it, okay? So we're going to wipe the brows down. So anything that was there, any oils from sweat or so forth, are going to be all gone. Okay, so we've got all that nice prep work done. I'll show you the cream, okay? So we have the protection cream. A lovely, lovely product. So let me just bring back the makeup remover because I'd like to mention this. Because the eye makeup remover, if you don't use ours currently, please, please, please try and get it and use it in the system. So first thing, it's micellar. So when you're doing lashes and, you know, like if they're wearing makeup or so and it's waterproof, it will remove that waterproof easily because we can't use oil-based eye makeup removers. Then it's non-oily, so that's important, it says non-oily. And then in this little box here, it says lash strengthening. But I always say hair strengthening because you're using it not only on lashes, but on brows as well. So there's a bunch of amino acids in here that are going to help to moisturize the hair. And after bleaching, because you're stripping away color, this is going to be a great way to remove the bleach paste. Like remove it first with a dry cotton, then use this, a wet cotton with the eye makeup remover, because at the same time that you're going to make sure that there's no bleach on there. You have to wipe it off with the eye makeup remover to make sure that there's no bleach left on the hair, but also the lash or the hair strengthening properties are going to give it like vitamins, are going to, after stripping, are going to condition it and moisturize those hairs. And that is a beautiful product that you need to put into your lash and brow bar system. Okay, perfect. So now let's do the protection cream. Protection cream, another wonderful, beautiful product that they've come out. Sorry, the green, I don't know if you can read it. It's a little bright with the color. Let me see if I, yeah, that's good. Okay, so it's a skin protection. Oh, skin protection, eye mask. So when you're doing a lash lift, or even now if you want, but we have our new iPads that you can use, which I could have put it on her to demo, but you can use this underneath when you're doing an eyelash tint. Underneath the protection papers, it's going to give them an eye mask treatment. But the other thing, the third thing it's a massage cream. At the end of all your services, anything you do for the lashes or the brows, you want to give a nice massage area. This area here, nice different techniques and massages that you want to do. Take a minute or two, and your client is going to love that. Okay? Yes. Makeup remover first, Marjorie, then the saline. Always saline is second step, and then the protection cream. So the protection cream, I usually am very tidy, so I don't use it. And plus, be very, very, very careful that you don't get it on the hairs that you have to work with. So I put some on my glove here. I'm going to take a Q-tip, and I'm going to start applying it around. Ooh, sorry, I need to stop stepping on this. All around the brow area. So I want to be very careful that I stay away from touching hair. So because if you do touch the hair, it's going to become a barrier to the bleaching. So you don't want that, okay? Patch test, mix the bleaching paste with the oxidant cream and put it either on your inner forearm or behind your ear to test it. And this should be done 48 hours in advance, okay? Because some people react quickly, some people don't. So the time is 48 hours, and then you get your client to come in for the actual service. When they call you and they said they're okay, then you know that they're going to sit nice and relaxed in the bed, and you won't be causing any skin irritation to them. So patch test is so highly important, which many do not do. So I always try to stress it in my trainings, okay? Perfect. So I've got that all here. And you can use this protection cream, should be used as well with tinting, so you don't do any unnecessary staining, okay? And having to sit there rubbing your client's skin. Perfect. So we have that on there. Let me just see if there's any questions. Why wouldn't massage a client that has Botox, right? Oh, we wouldn't massage a client that has, no. If you're doing Botox treatments, no. This is just, when I'm saying any lash and brow treatments, it's just if you're doing like a lash lift, a brow lift, or tint, you want to end the service with a nice massage. If the brows are freshly waxed, is the remover and saline safe to use after? So your waxing should be done after a tinting or a bleaching or a brow lamination. Your waxing is always the last step. If they had done waxing before and it's the same day they came to you, you can create sensitivity. So I would not do these services if they've had their waxing done. But if they're coming to you for waxing, you do it after. Okay, so hopefully I answered your question. Vaseline is fine. It's not that we don't use Vaseline because it's very thick, heavily based, can be comedogenic to the client's skin. It's very occlusive. Also, it can they're very heavy if it does touch the hair. So it's fine if you use it. Just the property of this RefectoCil one is you're going to get 3 uses out of 1 for it. So you can use it as a protection cream, eye mask, and massage cream. Okay, let's start now. Can only RefectoCil brand saline solution be used? It's very important to use the RefectoCil system, not because I only want you to buy RefectoCil, it's because it was created as a system. The ingredients were perfected in their own lab to create a system, right? So you don't want to start bringing other brands or something that is not going to work as a system. Now, on the other hand, if you don't have saline solution and you really need to get some, and you need it for tomorrow or so forth, if you go to the drugstore, it's not your eye contact solution. It is the one you see in the first aid section, okay? So I had to do a little bit of research because the contact lens solution has some soap properties. So I'm assuming when it has soap, it will become a barrier, okay? Okay, awesome. So let's mix the bleaching paste. So we have these beautiful artist palettes that fit right into your palm, okay? Love it. I can use both my hands freely, okay? So I'm going to put, and you see, it's really hard to tell, but you can see where it says your 2 centimeters or your inches, okay? And there's a line. The line helps too, to know, okay? So I'm going to take my blonde brow. As soon as I know where I left it, there we go. Perfect. So, okay. So I got my blonde brow. And as I mentioned before, you are going to be using the full amount of blonde brow because the tint, the tint, you can lessen it to 1 centimeter if their brows are very thin. But with the bleach, we need to get that major full coverage. And even if their brows are very fluffy and thick, we need to go through. So this amount, I always use 2 centimeters for bleaching. Okay, so we're going to take our oxidant cream. So here's our oxidant cream. Okay, 3%. Only 3%. Remember we talked about the hairstylist? We don't want to use something that's higher. Okay, so we want to make sure that it's a separate service than whatever is in the bowl for their hair. Okay, so we're going to drop 23 to 25. Usually I do 23 and I see how my texture is. And then I can add the other 2 drops if I feel I need some more, okay? Okay, so I got my 23. And now this is where you're going to spend some time mixing it, okay? We got our new Browista tool brushes. I don't know if you don't have them already. I suggest it's nice to place an order. Also, another thing you might have wanted to do is, I'm going to be a little bit careful so I don't get the cream, but maybe just brush them out a little bit just to get an even spread of the hairs. But this brush is a silicone mascara. Sorry, there we go. It's a silicone one. So it's very gentle on the hairs on your brows, especially when you do a brow lamination, because the disposable mascara ones are pretty harsh and you want to be very gentle. So this brush is awesome. You got your wide end. Let's put it lower. You got your wide end to do your brows. And then we have the second brush that's the more narrow to do lashes. So if you don't have these, along with the Browista tool, this artist palette, you're going to look awesome doing these services with these nice new tools. Okay, so I'm mixing my green, and you see how I say it looks very chunky at first. So you have to keep mixing it until it gets that grainy pasture. You'll see that it's going to be grainy. So I know that I put 23 drops. I'm going to add those 2 drops I needed. Okay, so those 2 drops make a difference. So it says 23 to 25. So I'm going to add the 2 more. And I'm going to continue mixing. Okay, so let me mix it until it gets that nice grainy paste. And I'm going to show you what it looks. So yeah, it's, you know, I can't remember who said it, but yes, it kind of almost looks like yogurt. Just not the watery part, the more fluffy part. Okay, so see how nice. So you can, you can still feel very minute grains, but it's not clumpy. Okay. So that's why I don't put the 25 drops right away, because I want to see, I want to see my texture. And then if I have to add the 2, I add the 2. So very creamy now. Okay. So we're going to start applying it. Let me just see if we have any questions. Yes. Perfect. Thank you for mentioning that. In certain regions, provinces, you are mandated, or you're told by the regional health inspectors or so forth, that you have to use single use. So if they won't let you use these ones and disinfect them with preempt, then you're going to have to eventually have disposable ones, because you don't want to be spending money on nice brushes, right? So that's sad. That's a negative part of it if you want to get these new Browista tools. Okay, glitchy. Wait, is it glitchy that I'm getting cut off? Can everybody hear me? Because I'm seeing 2 people said glitchy. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm getting cut off. Oh, somebody. Oh, no, I'm good. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to start to apply the bleach. And remember, just be very careful that you don't touch that protection cream. Okay. And Lisa's brows, last time, we almost left them for 20 minutes because they are pretty dark and a little bit coarse. But you see how you need that full 2 centimeters. And her brows do tend to a little bit stick up. So I do this little dabbing so I can get some thick on top, so they're not also sticking out of the bleach. If you had to do the trimming part of the brows, it's fine. Maybe you don't want them sticking out like that. But don't do the waxing until the end. Okay, so we're going to apply it. And then what I'm going to do with Lisa is I'm going to do the 15 minutes first to see, you know, how much it's lifted. I'm going to answer more questions if we have in the process. And then if 15 minutes is good, we take it off. But if it's not, then I have to leave it the other extra 5 minutes. But with Lisa, we're going to try and put that blue and red mixture so that we can create a pink. as her hair, I don't know if you can, let me see if I can put it in the camera. She has a little bit of purplish pinks in her hair. So we're going to try and do that with the brows, okay? So my timer's already started. I'm just going back up and doing some touches on some hair. Because she does have that fluffy brow, I want to make sure that I'm covering it, okay? Okay, so they do exist, disposable silicone mascara ones. Awesome. So let me just make sure my timer is okay, because the timer should have started before you went back to the second brow. And remember, we're putting just 15 minutes for now, and if I have to leave that 5 minutes on, remember, if I was happy with the length that it lightened, if I didn't want to make her rose gold to be so bright, it's fine at 15 minutes. I mean, 12 minutes, sorry. 12 minutes the first time. The second level, 12 minutes. If I have to leave it longer, I can go up to 20 minutes for third level, for the third shade, okay? Will bleaching tinting cause lamination to weaken? No, it should not cause the lamination to weaken. If you've had any results, like have you done it before that you've had these results? Has it been with RefectoCil product? Because anything you've experienced, let us know, because I'll always go back to the manufacturer and relay the information that I get from all of you guys from trying, because then we want to know what could have been the issue. So I'm just touching up. Like I said, I'm trying to still avoid the cream, but you see, I'm very precise onto the hair. I don't touch the skin. Oh, can I hear anything? Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay. So okay. I guess it might be some difficulty that you're maybe having on your end. Okay, if you're using blonde brow, Terry, to lighten and then color the brows, is this to be done before the lamination? No, the coloring is the last thing you do, because when you place the lamination, it's going to take the coloring off. So it would be the bleeding lamination, and then the coloring would be the last thing you would do. Okay, Terry, right? That was for you, or for everyone. So I'll answer some more questions. The timer is on. I did manage to use all the bleaching paste, but what I'm doing right now is I'm mixing a little bit more, very little, to have it on the side if I have to do some more on top of her brows. So you see how you really do need that 2 centimeters? It's really needed. Okay, perfect. Any questions? Anything I can answer in this timing? Because we do have the timer on. So I will go through the little booklet of the color that I'm going to do on Lisa. So I'm just touching up again. Give me 1 second while I'm going to check the computer if there's any questions. Let me just apply this. And once again, if Lisa didn't want the color, the pink, to be too lightened, then I'm fine at 12 minutes. I'm okay with level number 2, because she's going to be okay with it. She doesn't want her brows to look too bright. Okay, so let me just finish this side. I'm going to come see any questions. So if you didn't use the protection cream, you can be a little bit more pressing down. So just be careful because you don't want to get that protection cream blended in together with your bleaching. So I'm trying to get very close to the root too. And during the levels, before you reach the second level, like you can do a little test. You know how the hairdresser comes by your, she'll take a little piece off of the hair, rub it together to see how it's lightening. So you can always take a Q-tip and remove a corner and just see. Okay, perfect. So I got that covered. As I mentioned, her brow's a little bit more fluffier. So I'm trying to get all the ones that are sticking out. So a brow lamination would have been perfect. So if you had a client like Lisa, a brow lamination would have been perfect to do first. And then apply the bleach. Sorry, do the bleach. I think I said that backwards. Okay, perfect. We still have about not 8 minutes to check it. So let's see the questions. Let me just go a little bit higher because there was a lot of questions. Okay, Barbara, off the brow subject, wondering will you be offering a webinar for lash tinting? Yes, February 22nd. So if you visit our RefectoCileEducation.com website or in my Instagram, the Broista by RefectoCil, there is, I'll have a pages after. We're going to go back to the pages because I have a contest as well to show with you guys. But I have all the webinars up until February 22nd. So 2 more. February 8th is brow lamination tint. February 22nd is lash lift and tint. So please go register for those as well onto the website or social, like my social media platform. Okay. So if you use too little of the cream when applying the tint, will the color not adhere to the hair? If you use too little of the cream when applying to the tint. Are you talking about cream protection? I mean, are you talking about the oxidant cream? Or are you talking about the protection cream? So let me get back to that. When do you start the time? I usually start the time after I'm done my second brow. But some people have two stopwatches for both brows, even for brow lamination. I've heard people who do 2. I just mastered like an internal clock where I'll know. So after I'm done my second brow, I start the timer, and then I go back and I do little touch-ups. Okay, if using bleach to pre-soften gray, oh, I just lost. Give me. If using bleach to pre-soften gray coarse hair, still only need color tint for 1 minute or full 10 minutes? Okay, so if you're going to go up until 5 minutes, yes, the 1 minute. But if you feel that you only needed to do it for 3 minutes, you might need to extend that tint. But also look at the brows before, like when you're putting that tint and you feel like you want to use it longer than a minute, wipe off the tint first, look at the degree of the brow and how much color it took, and then continue your time. Don't automatically assume, oh, she needs 2 minutes, not 1 minute. And then you remove the tint, the color, and the brows are either too dark or the color degree or the level. Like, just always monitor if you're going to leave it longer than a minute. I found that sometimes I have to leave it shorter than a minute. Even at 40 seconds, I've had to remove it. Now, if you're using reds, you'll have to leave it longer. So if I'm going to mix red and blue for her brows, I might have to leave it longer than 1 minute because red shades take longer to process. Okay? Okay. When do you apply? When you apply to the first brow? No, when I apply to the second brow. When I'm done applying the second brow, then I start my timer. But for other people, they start the timer right away when they apply it to the first brow. And then they have another timer for the second brow, or they'll know how many, before when they go to the next brow, they'll see how many minutes the first brow has been on. So they know how to manage the time. Okay? So you would laminate, bleach, all in one service. Yes, you can. But once again, a proper aftercare, like our styling gel, even selling it for your client take home, will be needed. With anything we do, we need to have that aftercare. Okay? Let me see some more questions. So hard to breathe with the mask on. Whew. Okay. Let's see. So Sally, so it's bleach, laminate, then tint. Yes. One thing that just came to my head right now, which I'm going to ask the manufacturer, is with Lisa's brows that I'm dealing with, they're very unruly. I'm wondering, laminate first, then bleach, then tint. I'm going to ask if that method is okay too as well, because then I wouldn't have her brows sticking up so much. But I'm not quite sure if the lamination will go away or something will be effective to it once you do the bleach, right? So that's why it's the bleach first. But I can always find out. That's why I even have questions too. Okay, Terry, yes. Let me just see what your question was. They didn't really say to change, sorry, Bianca, they really didn't say to change the timing for the bleaching. You can still use the same bleaching, but you can monitor it by removing it and seeing, okay, if I'm only going to do level 2, which is 12 minutes, let me remove it in 10 minutes and see how much the hair has lightened. Just always monitor the hair. Terry, I forgot your question. If you use too little of the cream. So you said yes, but was that protection cream you're asking or the oxidant cream? Because if you're using a little oxidant cream when mixing with the tint, you're not going to have the proper effect of the tint lasting. It has to be 10 drops of the liquid to 2 centimeters, or if you're going to cut it down to 1 centimeter, it's going to be 5 drops. If you're going to use cream, it's 15 drops or 8, because you can't really do 7.5 if you're going to cut the tint in half. Does that answer your question? If you're talking about the protection cream, if you're using very little, as long as you get a nice even spread of it, it's okay. But just be careful when you start brushing the bleach, like with your brush flat down, it could take in some of that protection cream. But if you're doing everything carefully and not overusing the protection cream, you should be fine. So I hope I answered the question in both ways. Okay, so we have some more questions. I'm losing all the, okay. Okay, did I answer it all, Terry? Okay. If lamination is done first, wouldn't that affect the time for bleaching? Like I said, Bianca, they said no, it wouldn't affect it, but I can always verify again. But I did ask that question to them because I said, doesn't it affect the 5, 12, and 20 minutes, right? If you're laminating, because you're not depositing color. Remember, you're stripping away color. So that's why monitor it, because sometimes the brow lamination does take away some color. So it might be that, oh, I don't need 12 minutes. I might just need in between 5 to 12 minutes for that level 2. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, Bianca? So you'll have to just monitor to see. Okay, perfect. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Can you use oxidant liquid with blonde brow? Nope, it's only going to be your cream oxidant. Remember, cream oxidant, 23 to 25 drops of it. It's a lot more than usual for a tint because the texture of the blonde brow is pretty thick and chunky. So you need to mix it as well. And you need to have that thick consistency. And that is why you need to be using only the cream. It won't be effective if you use a liquid. You won't have effective results. Okay? So we are now at 1 minute left. And what I'm going to do, so that was the 12 minutes. That was shade number 2, okay? Or level number 2. I'm going to take off one part of her brow, and we're going to see how it's lightened. And if I just want to leave it at 12 minutes, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to assess the degree because her roots are pretty dark. It's just the bottom of her hair that we had mentioned is like a little bit purplish, that rose goldish. So I want to not make it too bright for her. Okay, perfect. Okay, I hope I'm answering everybody's questions. I didn't miss anybody. If I missed your question, please ask it again. Okay, so Q-tips ready. 25 seconds, and don't use any water, nothing. I'm taking a dry Q-tip because I'm going to do my test first. Okay, and this is where Bianca, this is where I would help you as well when you're doing the brow lamination first. When you do that little test to remove to see, oh, the brows have lightened more than I expected, and I don't have to do more level because the brow lamination tends to lighten as well sometimes the hairs. Okay. I am done my time. I'm going to remove some. I can already see some of the hairs that have lightened, but the ones that are sticking up are a little bit dark, but I can remove it, but don't drop it. So can you tell it's a little bit hard at the camera? So you'll still see some highlighted effect. So some of the hairs are blonde and some of them are still, let me see if I can turn on the light. No, that doesn't help. So I'm going to leave it on more. See, so it's the same thing that happened with us last time. So her time truly is 20 minutes. Okay. Perfect. So let's leave that on for another 8 minutes. Did you understand what I just did right now? So right now I just tested her brows. She still has some darker spots, but on that hand, I could remove it now and still get some nice results of that rose gold. It's just going to be a little bit more darker, the look. Now I'm going to show you on this little booklet. So I had the little parts on it on the presentation. We're going to try and do a slight mixture of this one. Okay, so you see that your 2 centimeters together, the 2 tints, your majority is going to be the red. And you're only going to have almost like a pin size of the blue. Now, you could always add more blue. When you mix it and you've applied, oh, it got blurry. When you have a mix and you have applied it on the brows and you feel it's too reddish, you could always mix back into your mixture some blue, a little bit of oxidant, mix it, and then make it a little bit more darker. But you don't want to add too much blue because when you add too much blue, it tends to become purple. Okay. So we're going to try this look out for Lisa, but it's going to be a more subtle look because she doesn't want them too bright. So that depends on the that 1 minute. Because we're using red, I'll probably have to leave it a little bit longer than 1 minute, but if the 1 minute just did it perfectly, I can just remove it, okay? Jenna, I missed the first little bit. Can you do a super quick recap while we're waiting? The first bit of the demo or the first bit of the presentation. So you do have PDF files. If you go to your right-hand corner of your screen and click Event Boards, you can save down the PDF files that show you the step-by-steps, the profitability, and the 3 reasons why you would use blonde brow. And that's exactly what we talked about in the presentation. The first reason you want to use blonde brow, this bleaching paste, is because you want to lighten hair that hasn't been colored. So like a virgin hair, because it's too dark and you want to lighten the natural hair. But then the second reason why you want to use the bleaching paste is you want to lighten before a tint. So if you have dark brows or close to black brows, you can't lift that color. You can't put, I wouldn't be able to put rose gold on Lisa's brows because they were black. No worries, Barbara. Use the PDF files and you can see the results after on the recorded. You're also getting a thank you email with all these files as well, okay? And the consent form, okay? Awesome, thank you, Barbara. So the second reason was if they're too dark, the brows, you want to bleach them so that you can deposit a new color. And the third reason why you would want to use it is because you want to be able to tint, fully cover those gray, bristly, coarse hairs that just don't want to take the tint properly. Okay, so that's all you missed. We just went through all that explanation. Don't worry, you're going to have a recording of this. It's going to be on our RefectoCileEducation.com website as well. Okay. What else can be used as aftercare other than RefectoCil brow gel? You're welcome, Jenna. You're welcome. If there is another, once again, we're using the RefectoCil system, right? So with all the testings and their ingredients they did and so forth in their products that they created the aftercare that's going to work properly with that. So that's the styling gel, right? Sorry, it's upside down. So it's got D-panthenol in it, and it's got a bunch of other like amino acids as well to provide, to provide care to the hair. So if you have a brow product from another brand that's an aftercare that's specifically made for the brows or the lashes, you can use it, but once again, what I suggest is use the system because the ingredients that they tested it on with their system works together as a system, right? So I couldn't tell you effectively, like they would have to test that product. If you're saying you're using Magical, say it's called Magical, the other brow company that you're using their aftercare, but the ingredients in that aftercare haven't been tested to see will it be effective with the services that we're using on that the kits that we're using on this brand, so RefectoCil brand. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So maybe you might not have an effective softening of the brows with that aftercare. Okay, so it's always good to keep it within the system. But if you, like I mentioned, if you do have another one that could be effective, just test it out and see with your client when you apply it after you're done. The styling gel, I always apply it after I'm done my clients' lash or brow lift, lash or brow tint. I apply it after, and then I also tell them this is an aftercare that they got to bring home to purchase. You're welcome, Lisa. I want to be honest. I don't want to say, no, you can't use the other brand because I don't even know what the effectiveness would be. So test it out and just see. And if it works for you, it works for you. Okay. Okay. Jenna, you're welcome. Joy, is a consent form online? Sorry, I may have missed that. We're working on our website, and I'm going to be putting the consent forms on there for people to download. But after this webinar is over, you're going to have a thank you email sent to you with the consent form attached and all these other files. So if you couldn't find that event board, if you're having a hard time, don't worry. I've added all these files in your thank you email as well. Okay. Really like the color book you were holding up with the color combinations. Okay, so check with your local distributor. We have had to stop producing them because we have new models that have to be updated in it. So we don't really have any of these, but if some of your distributors we have some distributors that do sell it and they have it, order from them. But also the awareness. If you really want that little booklet, bring it to the attention of your distributor, your beauty distributor, because they'll be calling us, and then there'll be more interest that we know of people that want this, and we'll try and get it produced faster. Sorry, it's a little stained with tint, but that's what it looks like. Okay. So yeah, bring it to the awareness of your distributor if they don't have it. The more people that bring it to the awareness, the more we need to create this and get it out there. Okay. I have 1 minute left, so let me get back to the model. Let me just see 2 more questions. When will be able to access the link? Will it be right away after this or a while? So you'll have no, don't worry. Repetitive questions is fine. I don't mind it. Right after the webinar is over, you're going to get the recording. But once we get the recording up on our website, I delete it from my platform because there's not enough room. So you'll get it right away afterwards, and you might have it for a couple of days until we upload it onto the www.RefectoCileEducation.com. Okay, so let me go back to my model. Wait, was there another question? How soon after we get a thank you email? It comes pretty soon after. So depending, maybe 5 minutes or so, it should come. Once I click end, it should come. Okay, if you have any issues and it didn't come, the thank you email, you can always reach me. We're going to get back to the slide where you can reach to me for more help, okay? Let me just remove. I could see. Oh, there we go. Can we see that? Okay. So she still had some little, oops, I need to stop stepping over this. Okay, she still had some hairs that were a little bit dark here. That's why the brow lamination to me would have been a little bit more effective to do before. But that's what it looks lightened out. Pretty difference, right? There are questions? A little late logging on. I know you said patch test is recommended. Where shall patch test be applied? Inner forearm? Inner forearm or behind the ear? Dry Q-tip. Dry Q-tip. Okay. Then I take my cotton pad, dry cotton pad. Don't be too rubbing because it was delicate, the bleaching, you know. And now is where I can do my eye makeup remover. Because we're gonna put back that moisture into the hairs, okay? It's like she's got no brows. You know, this was a trend. The bleached out brows was a trend on the runway. Oh, I forgot the fashion designer, but it was a trend on the runway for models. They would lighten the brows. I wrote an article. I'll be putting it soon up on my link tree. But I wrote an article on blonde brow, but they were using to bleach out the brows to a degree that can match their skin, close to their skin color. Okay, so I used the makeup remover and I removed it. We're gonna mix now the colors for her brows. Okay, now you can go back and use that. Oh, Valentino, was it Valentino, Jessica? Okay, thank you. There was 2 artists that were doing it, but I think that article that I read was Valentino as well. Yes, RuPaul does so, yep. We don't rinse with water. Every time any tints or any products that we remove from we do dry first. Water gets done at the end, but because the bleaching paste, we want to make sure that there's none left on there. The eye makeup remover replaces the water. Okay. So I'm going to spread again the protection cream just to show you guys the proper method, because when we're tinting too, we don't want to stain, especially with the red. Now you got to look at that skin carefully because the hairs are lightened now. So you got to make sure that you don't touch those. Okay. And then we're going to mix that color combination. So a big difference to what it was before. And say, for example, you know, we were trying to leave the brows like this without applying a tint. She has a lot of warmth. So I would have to use the graphite. Maybe even a light brown and graphite to look lighter. Okay, perfect. So we got that done. Let me get my red and my blue. Let me clean my artist palette and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you when I mix it, okay? Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to squeeze the color in. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So remember, the red is the majority of the color I'm using, and the blue is going to be more of like a pin size, 2 pin sizes, okay? So let me just... So these are your 2 colors. I'm going to just show them to you, the tubes, and then I'm going to put them in the... So these are your 2 colors, okay? I'm going to put them in the tube and then in the artist palette. I'm going to show you. Okay. And the pin size amount, that I usually use a Q-tip, like because I don't want to squeeze too much out, I usually just squeeze out and I use a Q-tip to take that to pin size amount, okay? Now with Lisa, I'm going to try and go in between because her hair is this time is a little bit like to the purple degree. But this is what I put. You probably will have a hard time seeing it's in the corner right there, the blue. I don't want to put it too close because you might not see it. That's the blue and that's the red. So very little portion of the blue, okay? And then I'm going to mix my oxidant. I have oxidant cream, so I'm going to do my 15 drops, okay? So the color ratio was 1 to 0.2. So we say that 0.1 is usually like a pin size, so I'm saying 2 pin sizes of that, of the blue. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix it. I'm gonna mix my my color, and I'm gonna show it to you when I mix it. Give me 1 second. And like I said, if your ratios were a little bit off, it felt like, wait, it's a little too reddish, you can always add more blue. Okay, this is what my color looks like now. It almost looks purple. Well, it looks purple. Okay, so I'm gonna be careful. Turn this way, Lisa. Thank you. And sometimes what I like to do as well is have this a Q-tip because I want to be very precise. Now, if that looks too red, I could add more blue. But I'm only going to leave it on. Remember, because she pulled a lot of red, I'll probably will have to add some more blue because she was, so I'm going to do one brow at a time because I want to get the coloring, the timing, because I'm going to inspect it. So I already started my clock. So remember, it's only 1 minute. But with Lisa, I might remove it at 40 seconds just to see what color. So in about 10 seconds or 15 seconds, I'm going to have to remove it. So it's like a painting. You're just working at it like a painting. You go as it. Okay, so what I want to do right now is I actually want to remove it. Because remember how I said at 40 seconds, I want to just check it out. Sorry, I hope you can hear me still. Because she does pull a lot of red. Right? So she's got a very, very red hue. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do the blue. So I'm going to remove it. So don't panic. I know some people, students I've trained, they panicked. Remove it. Clean it. You see how quick the color took? So see, for the people who said maybe they want to leave it longer, be careful, okay? So I'm going to add more blue. So for Lisa's brows, because she has a lot of warmth, the 2 pin size was not enough, okay? Okay, if no makeup, there's a lot of questions. If no makeup, could we just clean with the Saline and not remove her? The makeup remover also helps remove makeup that they thought they removed and they didn't. So just monitor that as well. So if they didn't have any makeup, you could do the saline, but you do need some, just in case they had powder and stuff like that on their skin. If they had some powder, you have to use the makeup remover. So I'm going to go back in. Now, another way to test the colors is to have, product hair that you can test it on. And you kind of have to work a little bit because the hairs have been stripped. You kind of have to work a little bit fast. So I'm not going to leave it on too long because it's going to go dark. But I did add that blue to counteract that redness. Oh, sorry. So now it's starting to look a little bit more purple. It's hard to tell in the camera, but that's all you had to do if you started to freak out and you felt, oh my goodness, what did I do to my client's brows? So I'm just going to clean them a little bit with the water just so we can see no staining around. See, I wouldn't want to leave it longer because it's already darkened the hair, right? So now when I do the other side, I have the appropriate color. Turn this way. A little bit slightly, yeah. So you see how that full minute, sometimes you have to remove it sooner, especially since we've left it on for almost like 20 minutes. So we're going to look at this brow effect. If this brow looks more purple, then we're going to go back to the other brow. So it's practice. It's practice also to feel not stressed out, because some people, like when we do these classes, they freak out when they give their clients models Ronald McDonald brows. So don't freak out, but it's going to take practice, and just know what colors to use to warm it back down, to cool it back down. So that's been on there for 30 seconds. Another 10 seconds, I'm going to remove it. So if there's any questions, I'm just paying attention to her brows first, and then I'll come and answer those questions. So this one came out more rose goldish because we had the proper ratio. So I'm going to go back into that side and see if I can try and pull out that red, because I want it like this, rose goldish. The only thing is that the brows might be darkening a little bit more, so we have to be careful. And I'm only going to leave it on for 20 seconds and wipe it off. I'm just trying to get that warmth away. So it's really hard to tell on the camera, but that brow turned rose gold, which is really nice. So see what happens? This is a really good thing to see now. When with the timings, to leave it on too long, the hair gets darker and darker. Okay? So in that sense, you can mix some more red inside there. And I'd have to go back and counterbalance. The hairs are still open, but it's darkening it. See what I mean? So you have to be very, very, very careful. So I'm going to clean it. Okay, so how you would have to balance that out. So you see this side of her brow? If you see it with the naked eye, she has the rose gold look. This side, it's getting darker. So I have to take time to correct that with a little bit of the red color. So because our time is pressed, but you see, I left this not even a full minute. So that answers your question as well. If you leave it longer, please monitor the hair. Okay, so let me just apply on this one the styling gel because I'm going to fix this one. But I want to go back to the presentation to show some other exciting stuff. Give me 1 second. So what I had suggested before is it's nice to practice on strands of hair. Turn this way. I just want to clean them properly. And if you've ever had any issues with the color and you need to lighten it, please, please, please have this product in your lash and brow bar. When I have so many people calling me and saying my customer is so upset because the tint was so dark, they don't have that product. So you can, as long as the hairs are slightly still open, you can soften that color, okay? So I'm just showing you because this is what I'm going to do to fix it. So I just want to show you, see, so you can soften that color up. Okay, and then what you would do is apply the styling gel, disposable mascara wand. You don't want to double dip. And then now is where you would do your, you put your hands a little bit, yeah. Now it's where you would do your waxing. Okay. So let me just go back to the screen, see if there's any questions. I'm going to put the camera back onto the other camera. So turn this so I can see that. Yeah. Okay, so that's going to dry up a little bit. So let's see your questions. Her ends of her hairs turned out a little bit more purple this time. They're supposed to be rose gold, but we didn't want to do her brows purple. She didn't want them purple, so we were trying to do the rose gold for the question for Carrie. Okay. You cannot order directly from us. You got to order from our local beauty distributors. You have one option right here from Salon Beauty, but if you need another one that's local, like to your area, let me know. We can help you with that. So let me switch up the camera.